By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
As Haskins limps his way up some stairs to the locker room after the Redskins loss in Green Bay, we're going to go to a commercial break and then come back, and Steve and I are going to have a little chit-chat.
Support for the Hogsty comes from Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Ready or not, the holidays are here. Still struggling to come up with the perfect gift for that special someone in your life? The answer is Manscaped. The Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0 is the perfect gift this holiday season. It includes the Lawnmower 2.0 trimmer, the Crop Preserver anti-chafing deodorant, and the Crop Reviver toner spray, which is infused with cooling aloe vera to keep you from sweating, sticking, and smelling. Trust me, she will love the manly scent of these products. It even comes with a pair of Manscaped boxer briefs to keep you feeling fresh all day long. Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their new Lawnmower 2.0 has proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to prevent nicks and snags, has a rechargeable battery, and it's waterproof so you can use it in the shower. Stop using the same trimmer down below that you use on your face. So what are you waiting for? Head over to manscaped.com now and get 20% off your order and free shipping by using the code BIGHEADS. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Promo code BIGHEADS.
And we're back. This is Alex with you. Steve is with me. No Sean, no Jamal. I guess they're getting their Christmas shopping done. But, you know, it's that time of the year. Holidays, snow. You know, warm feelings. It's your favorite holiday coming up. We just passed my favorite holiday. Steve, how are you doing after we knew this was going to be a loss? I think everyone said this was going to be a loss.
Yeah.
But, you know, they still sting a little.
Yeah. First of all, I'm doing all right. I spent 3.5 hours putting Christmas lights up yesterday, Saturday.
Ooh,
yeah.
I'm surprised you did that yourself.
Well, it's because I saw the guy who drives around and does it for every house, and as soon as he said this is going to cost like $600 or $700, I was like, yeah, no. I can do this myself.
That's a good racket, man. $600-700 just to hang some lights.
Said, it was way just an outrageous amount of money, and so no, and that I don't even think that even included the lights. So no, thank you. I did.
What's that? Just inflating the snowman?
No, it was putting the lights up. But I mean, yeah, I can't remember if he said that.
Oh, you had to buy your own lights,
or like he had them and we had to pay him, for him,
Oh, a rental fee, light rental.
No, yeah, I can't even remember if it was rental. But as soon as I heard that much, I was like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But no, it's doing all right. And yeah, I mean, I think we all knew this was going to be a loss. It was just sort of a matter of how did the Redskins play? How did they look? What did they do? And I have a feeling, just based on our little chit-chat and whatnot, that we're probably going to disagree to a certain extent over what we saw in this game.
We talk pre-show, and I think there's a few spots where you and I disagree.
Why don't we do stats? You want to do stats first?
Yeah, why don't you give me some of those numbers first, because those are going to inform our discussion.
Yeah. So Dwayne Haskins was 16 for 27, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, was sacked 4 times, rating of 74.6. Most of that yardage came at the end of the game in the fourth quarter on the touchdown drive at the end of the game. Just for context's sake, at the end of the third quarter, he was 9 for 17 for 87 yards. So bear that in mind. Adrian Peterson was 20 carries, 76 yards, 3.8 yards per attempt. Got another touchdown finally. It's been a while for him. Darius Geis was 5 for 42 before he got hurt. Wendell Smallwood was 2 for 4. The leading receiver on the day was Terry McLaurin, who was 4 for 57, including one just like, oh my God! Catch.
Oh, a beauty of a touch! Yeah. Like that's a highlight of the year type play.
Yeah, that was like catch of the year to me. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Chris Thompson was 7 for 43. Steven Sims was 4 for 40. Kelvin Harmon was 1 for 30. On the Green Bay offense side, Aaron Rodgers was 18 for 28, 195 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Well, he was sacked 4 times. Quarterback rating of 96.6. On the ground, Green Bay was 28 for 174 yards rushing. Aaron Jones, 16 for 134. Jamal Williams, 7 for 24. Aaron Rodgers himself ran for 16 yards rather. Receiving, Jones was also the leading receiver on the day. Leading receiver.
I told you guys to watch out for that.
6 for 58. Jimmy Graham was 3 for 49. Devontae Adams 4 for 41. Goes down from there. Whole bunch of people got a whole bunch of catches for Green Bay. On the defensive side, the leading tackler was Cole Holcomb, believe it or not, which I think is a first for him.
Well, let's put a little asterisk by that, and we'll come back to it because he was struggling most of the day too.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens with these raw tackle stats,
Right.
Landon Collins, who's the usual leading tackle, only had 4 tackles on the day. Sack-wise, we had Matt Ioannidis got 1, Daron Payne got 1, Ryan Kerrigan got 1, and Ryan Anderson got 1.
Right. Anderson had the sack fumble, right?
Yes. Anderson had the sack fumble. The only turnover was an interception by Haskins to Adrian Amos with the Packers, and that is I was about to say that's stats, but we have to do our normal. Did Tressway outpunt the entire Redskins offense?
Well, he only punted, 2-3 times?
6.
He punted 6 times?
Yeah, they had a whole bunch of 3-and-outs, remember. There were a lot of 3-and-outs.
Oh, right, early on.
So he was 6 punts for 264 yards. So, drum roll, please. As soon as I go back up here and do some math in my head. Ooh, it's very close. We had 262 yards of total offense, and it was 264 yards punting. So it was very close.
Wow, it doesn't get much closer.
The offense tried their best to catch up, but Tressway won again.
Oh.
So that's
I feel like if we did that corollary every time we win a game, the offense probably wins that fight. And not when we lose, not so much.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the sad thing is this shouldn't happen.
No, it shouldn't.
But it does on a regular basis for the Redskins, which is why we do it, because we're making fun of the team in a subtle way. Right. Because that's really what we're reduced to on this show, is just kind of making fun of our own love of the team at this point. We have to. Like I had to go to the sports bar today to watch.
That explains why it took you a minute.
Yeah, that's why it took me a minute. And a Packers fan rolled up and sat next to me. And usually, since I don't really like humanity, I try not to talk to him. But this guy seemed to want to chat, and he was a decent guy. And so during a commercial break, he's talking about how the Packers haven't lived up to the potential and this and that. And I was like, okay, I kind of understand, because you've had 35 straight years of outstanding, Hall of Fame quarterbacking. You've only won 2 Super Bowls. But your level of frustration is a whole nother level of my frustration. Just understand that, Mr. Packers fan. And he kind of got it. He was a decent guy. He sort of
understand that your win-loss percentage for the last 20 years is the inverse of ours.
Yes, exactly right.
Like we're at 390 under Bruce Allen. Yes. They're at what would the opposite of that be?
390 a few weeks ago. So when I did that column, the opposite of that would be 610.
Yes, that's probably where the Packers are, around 6'10".
Somewhere around that, yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was frustrated as a Packer fan because, in spite of all this great quarterbacking, they have flaws and whatnot. And I was like, dude, I get it. You're right. But just think about me, Right. And I have to watch this track and talk about it for every single week for years. And it never changes. Right. It never gets any better. He's like, yeah, I understand.
Right. And that there was that campaign years ago. It gets better. That's not a Redskins fan campaign. It doesn't get better.
It's like we're trapped in the Twilight Zone. It just never ends.
You know what? Maybe that should be an online thing we do to go viral. It doesn't get better.
Washington Redskins, hashtag it doesn't ever get better.
Right.
Somebody start that hashtag for us. And by the way, I was really disappointed that nobody bothered to do a little JPEG of my... Bruce Allen
visual from last week.
Yeah, I was really disappointed. There was no Bruce Allen snorting coke off of Dan Snyder's butt, and I was disappointed somebody didn't do it. Thanks, guys.
Well, some people just don't have the artistic skills anymore.
See, yeah, you could search the right website. You can probably get a live version of that somewhere. It would be my guess.
Yeah, and then use one of those visual video adapting face tools. It'd be easy.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into you know what? I want to start with the side that's going to lead to our kind of bigger debate, and that's the Redskins' defense versus the Packers' offense. I want to start there for a change. because you and I had a discussion about the front line for the Redskins, or a disagreement about how well they played. Overall, though, we allowed 20 points.
Yeah.
I think both were guessing this would be in the 30s or 40s. So
I said 28.
Points-wise,
I think I said 28-14 was my final score.
Okay.
I was pretty close, actually.
In general, I think most of us thought it was going to be pretty high.
Yeah, I did.
For the Packers.
I said 28-14.
Well, 28 is still a good day for any team.
Yeah, it is.
But anyway, so 20 points. Secondary played, I thought, pretty well, considering that we had, like, hobos playing out there.
You're calling Thomas Simeon a hobo?
I don't know who Thomas Simeon... Like, if Thomas Simeon was standing next to me, I wouldn't know who he is.
Well, he was out there on the field most of the day today.
Even with his jersey number on, I wouldn't know who he is. You know what I mean?
You would think it was a fan wearing a Simeon jersey. That's what you're saying.
Right. I'm like, oh, man, you got a homemade jersey? That's a weird thing to do. Number 38. Who does that?
Oh, man.
But, so I thought the secondary played well. Let's start there, and then we'll work our way down to the front line.
Well, first of all, the obvious problem in the secondary was that everybody got injured. Quentin Dunbar went down to the hamstring, didn't come back. Fabian Moreau went down to the hamstring, then came back, then was out again.
Right.
And just
tried to play through it, basically.
And couldn't. And just to finish up injuries, since I'm thinking about it, Darius Geis went down with a knee injury. We don't really know the status of him, of that. If we get some word during the show before it's over, we'll talk about it.
Right.
Dwayne Haskins,
that reminds me, I should probably have Twitter open just in case.
Yeah, I'll keep up with it. Dwayne Haskins had an ankle injury and played through it. Ryan Kerrigan had a calf injury and went out. So they lost a lot of big players. But in terms of the secondary, I mean, the first touchdown, the second Packers touchdown with the tight end that nobody's heard of, was a coverage bust.
Sure.
They looked.
There were a couple coverage.
There were coverage busts, and those are usually communications problems. It's usually that this guy and that guy don't really know where they're supposed to be, or what their responsibility is in the zone that they're going to end up in, which is usually not what the look they show when they start with. I mean, they were okay. I saw Jimmy Moreland, who was kind of over his head.
He got beat a few times.
Yeah, I mean, he got beat on a crossing route. He got beat deep. Or deep middle. So, I mean, he was okay. They certainly weren't a total disaster, which they could have been given that the top two corners were out. Now, the big thing, of course, is that Josh Norman stayed planted on the bench in spite of all that.
Right.
I think Simeon would have had to go out for
Norman to be forced. Norman's not going in unless we're like, it's like, all right, we got to play Josh, or our fourth linebacker is going to be playing corner at this point.
I haven't studied his contract to this depth in a while, but what I am told is that he has a per game roster bonus, which is why he's been active. Yeah, in spite of the fact that he's clearly done in DC. So they're doing him a solid by keeping him active, basically.
Interesting. The other couple things that we saw, it could have been a worse day for the defense. Rodgers overthrew, 3 big balls, that one to Graham, the one to the running back,
right,
where, who was it? Landon Collins just kind of fell down.
And fell, yeah. And by the way, people, I tweeted that. I said what I said in the tweet that people criticized me for was, I said Landon Collins on covering a receiver on the outside scares me. And what I meant by that is whoever it is, I know it was a running back. My point was he's out there one-on-one on a dude on the
He's not going to get a handoff.
That's not him. Yeah, that's my that was what I was trying to say.
Right. You got to go a little 21st century with your thinking. If they're out on the edge, they're just a receiver. Right. It doesn't matter what the number on their jersey is.
Yeah, that was kind of my point, but it went over. Yeah. Most people thought I didn't know who was out there, so that's fine. And to the dude who, by the way, got his panties all in a wad over me criticizing Ryan Kerrigan's sack dance, please unfollow us.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I'm fine with it. And by the way, I won in the end because the likes of that tweet outweighed the likes of his tweet. So screw that guy.
Well, you're going to have to go to the ratios because, the first tweet always gets the most likes.
Yeah, we had 10 times more followers than he does too, but I'm declaring it a victory nonetheless.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. If we have a follower victory anyway. So.
Yeah. So, but
that's super nerdy when you start caring about this.
I don't care. It's really just my opportunity to criticize that dude because I thought he was a dope.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. All right. Other things noticed with the secondary. I kind of felt like Nicholson had an off game. He didn't really get that involved. I don't think he let anything, go by him necessarily, but he kind of just got taken out of the game. It felt
Nicholson
like
isn't that good of a safety.
No,
I mean he's gonna that's Monte.
He flashes usually once or twice.
That's Monte Nicholson.
Yeah.
Monte Nicholson is not Sean Taylor. He is there because
I'm not gonna pretend he is.
Yeah, he's there because they have nobody else.
Sure.
And particularly since DeShazer Everett went to IR, which is something that happened after we did our game preview show. So
right, I forgot about that.
So DeShazer Everett's on IR, so the choice is either Nicholson or Troy Apke, and nobody wants Troy Apke out there, for God's sake.
Right. Apke is really not an option.
No.
Still. No. He's good for like two or three plays a game to, relieve somebody. But
he's fast in a straight line.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's much else we could say about the secondary. Let's move to the front line because I think that's where you and I had our disagreement. Yeah. You said on Twitter you thought that the defensive line was having a poor game.
Yes.
I want to know why you thought that, because I would counter that I thought they actually played surprisingly well.
Because they got repeatedly gashed over and over and over and over again, endlessly on the ground game, in a game in which the game plan for the Green Bay Packers was clearly to rely on their rushing attack to eat up clock. Aaron Rodgers didn't do his normal Aaron Rodgers thing. This was they wanted to run the ball, and guess what they did? They averaged over 6 yards a carry on the game.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, so they sacked Aaron Rodgers 4 times. Great. They had him under pressure sometimes. Certainly they were better in pass rush than they were on the ground. I'll give you all that. But they were atrocious against the run. And it's not like Aaron Jones is Barry Sanders, for God's sakes. I mean, there were huge, massive holes, particularly on the edges. But over and over again. And so that's why I thought they had a bad game.
Okay, so I would counter that in saying I think the plan on defense all along wasn't to worry about the run. It was to try and stop Rodgers. And in my mind, they more or less did that. I mean, Rodgers had that fumble. He was uncomfortable most of the day when they weren't really sending many blitzes. It was a lot of 3- and 4-man rushes all day, trying to drop more guys into coverage. So, I mean, in that respect, I think the defensive line did exactly what their job was supposed to be, and that was contain Aaron Rodgers as best as you can.
Except that you can't just contain Aaron Rodgers and let a mediocre running game just absolutely gash and torch you for 4 quarters, which is what happened. You got to have...
Well, I think they got torched in the end. I didn't really feel like their running backs were scaring me most of the game until the fourth quarter.
With me. So, at halftime... They were on the day 11 for 91. I'm sorry, not on the day. At halftime, the Packers were 11 carries, 91 yards. So that is over 8 yards a carry. At the end of the third quarter, they were 17 for 142. So it was consistent all day. I actually forgot to write it down for the first quarter. So, and at the end of the game, again, they were 28 for 174. At one point, they were over almost 9 yards a carry. It actually got better towards the end of the game. In that last drive when it was like a grind it out, the Redskins got a few stops and it had their yards per carry go down. So, they got consistently beat all day long on the ground. That was my point. I understand what you're saying because it looked like they were pressuring Aaron Rodgers. Not look like. They were pressuring Aaron Rodgers.
They were absolutely pressuring Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And of course they let him scramble for 16 yards. But, it's like it's great when you do that. But all the same, you can't just... let the Packers go to a ground-based game plan and then just, devastate your defensive line. And that's what I thought happened.
Well, there's also the fact that I guess we should stick with saying front seven, not defensive line, because in my mind, when it comes to the run game, linebackers play a bigger role than defensive linemen at times.
Yeah, front seven. Absolutely.
Yeah. So... I think it's a fair point. They kind of you got to pick your poison, and I think when it's Aaron Rodgers, you try and stop him, and the run game's going to do what it does.
Well, and also remember that the Packers knew that the Redskins' offense is atrocious. And so they didn't. I have a feeling that if they're facing a better offense, we probably would have seen a different Packer offense. Also, because Aaron Rodgers is a magician in the pocket, normally, but he just didn't really have to do it. They were very balanced. 28 rushes, 28 pass attempts.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
balance.
yeah. I mean, and that's most games come out more
60-40.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
so this is a very run-based offensive game plan, and I think it got more so as the game went on. It was clear that the Redskins can't stop the running game, and they were at least somewhat more effective against the pass. And so, but all the same, I mean, you still let him have a quarterback rating of, almost 97.
Sure.
Didn't get any interceptions. He's only thrown 2 on the year.
I mean, to be fair, it's Aaron Rodgers. He never throws interceptions.
Yeah. So I mean,
didn't he have a streak of like 18 games or something without a pick at one?
Yeah, I wouldn't swear
weird.
to the 18, but yeah,
It was almost like a full season.
Yeah, it was
I can't
like
remember
some
exactly.
insane thing like that. So I mean, I get it, and listen, I mean, we said it in the game preview, contain Aaron Rodgers, but I didn't mean let them rush for almost 9 yards a carry for most of the game. That's not.
I think a lot of the running. And the Redskins have had several games where they've let running backs go all over them. This team, because our linebackers aren't great, I think they have to pick their poison. You're either going to dedicate the day to stopping the run or stopping the quarterback. And because, last week, I think they said, all right, just contain Christian McCaffrey, and they did a pretty good job of that.
Yeah.
They weren't as focused on, stopping the quarterback as they were the running back.
They did an outstanding job against McCaffrey.
Yeah. So, but my point is, I don't think we have the kind of defense where you can let's just do both, because we're not elite.
And they just can't really put it together,
Right.
And this is a different Green Bay team than a lot of years. I mean, Rodgers has lost multiple weapons to retirement over the past few years. I mean, so now we're talking about the corpse of Jimmy Graham, Devontae Adams, who's, legit wide receiver, and then, a bunch of guys.
Yeah, well, and and you saw it this week or this game. He uses the other guys very well. They're not elite, but he knows how to get the balls to the running backs in the flats when he needs to. And they picked up a bunch of yards on a couple screens or a couple flat routes. He knows how to get it to who's number 13 on their team. I can't remember his name. But he's basically becoming their second receiver. And he picks up 2 first downs a game. They know how to use what they have, which is what you want.
I mean, he completed passes to 7 different players.
Right.
He does spread the ball around, well. But it's just
because he's Aaron Rodgers. He can.
Yeah, he's Aaron Rodgers, but I just don't think it's as potent an offense this year, just because of the nature of the players they have. They really need to draft some more wide receivers.
2 or 3 years ago, when they had 3 or even 4 legit starting receivers, it was a different game.
And of course, I mean, the guy I sat next to in the sports bar was right. They just can't. They can never put it all together, these Packers. They've had times when they've been atrocious on the run. They've had defenses that are the worst in the NFL. They've had, they've had great receivers sometimes, and they can't do anything else. And so it's just a program that can't put it all together. They've had a terrible head coach in Mike McCarthy, who, but anyway, so this is not the Packers.
Who people seem to want to come here, which I don't understand.
Good Lord. It's because people have heard the name. But anyway, so... Redskins defense. Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought they were better in.
They've been better the last few weeks. This is what we've seen the last 3 weeks is kind of what I was hoping to see all year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just kind of think we're sort of getting the B team to a certain extent from some of these teams. You
mean like a B level effort?
Yeah, I said B team. Kind of B effort because they know. They know what works. The Packers didn't have to be dynamic. The Patriots didn't look that good against us early in the year. They didn't have to be dynamic that game. The 49ers in a monsoon came in. All they knew they just needed to run the ball on us. And so it's. I think these offenses, including the Packers, are designing game plans a specific reason because they know the Redskins' offense is so bad.
Right.
So
you
awful.
get to 21 points, you're going to win.
Yeah. So I think it's what you were seeing is the book on how to beat the Redskins is you can play a nice, easy, conservative game plan, score a few points, and if you do, it's over.
Sure. Yeah, and that's about right.
Yeah.
Because that's what we've seen. Somebody posted on Twitter, it's been, I think, almost 20, I can't remember, it wasn't quite 30, it was like 29, 28 games since the Redskins have scored 30 points on offense.
Is that right?
It's been God. Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been 2.5 years or something like that since we've seen the Redskins put a 3 in front of their digits.
I just wouldn't have thought it was that long, but it's probably me just being in denial.
Yeah, I think so. I knowing you, Steve, that is one of your strengths.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, I mean, yes.
Yeah, you're a fanatic for a reason.
I am a fanatic. Yeah, about many things.
Yes.
Go Dodgers.
So let's switch sides to the offense because I think the defense overall okay day. Let's go offense though because this is where the Redskins you have to kind of wonder what they were thinking. They start out nothing's working again. I think we ran into a brick wall twice, and then Haskins got sacked. Then Haskins got sacked again.
Well, yeah, okay.
The next play.
So the first series was run, pass, punt, and then the second series was sack, pass, punt. So we did try.
But I think that first pass was a sack, right?
Yes, it was. It
run,
was,
run, sack. It was sack, pass.
Correct. It was
punt.
Sack, pass, pass, punt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, yet again, they don't seem to be doing a very good job of scripting that first 15 plays, which is what everyone always talks about with the NFL now, how those first couple plays are always that's your script. You should know exactly what you're doing. You should be able to get some yards there. So that's a problem. I don't know who's making those designs early on. Is this a Callahan thing or is this an O'Connell thing?
Look, he's the head coach. He's responsible.
Sure.
I mean, and I don't mind them being a run-heavy team. That's
no.
Here's the thing about this game. To me, Dwayne Haskins was very hurt by the end of the game. I certainly think
he was very hurt by the mid-second quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was terrible before he was hurt. Okay.
Yeah, he was not looking good.
Yeah, this was a step back. For Dwayne Haskins. I mean, and I'm okay with it because you're going to have that. You're going to have step forwards and step backs, particularly when you have a team with little talent. But this was not a good day for him, and it got worse as he got more and more hurt, for sure.
Right.
By the end of the game, he was basically not using his lower half of his body to throw the ball.
He couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, the one play that I think was the most telling was when he was going to hand the ball off to Peterson on a stretch run. And now I think he did get stepped on a little by his lineman, but he couldn't get out to hand the ball off.
So Mark Bullock, the reason, by the way, in case anybody's wondering why Mark Bullock has all these highlights instantaneously, is because he's in Europe and he's watching an NFL Game Pass on his computer so he can capture the video. That's why he has all these cool highlights so fast when none of the rest of us have them. That's why. But Bullock caught that play, and it was the fact that his ankle got stepped on that was really held him up. That was the reason in that play. It wasn't because he couldn't run. It was because he got his ankle stepped on or his foot stepped on. So I'll give him that one. Well, but, I mean, he was not good today. He was inaccurate.
Anytime you saw him walking at the field, he was having to do a hop every 3 or 4 steps.
But even before he got that way, it was still not a good day. He was still missing balls. He got the offensive line was atrocious in pass pro. They got him hit over and over and over again.
Especially now. I know you were praising the interior line for their run blocking, but their pass blocking.
Awful.
They were 2 or 3 times where they just let guys right through. And I don't think that's Haskins blowing the, calls.
Yeah.
I think that's them just not picking guys up at all.
I mean, how many times did we see completely unblocked rushers?
Right.
And you're right. I mean, it's hard to say, especially when, we haven't watched all 22 yet. We'll figure it out eventually, but many unblocked rushers, and that's communication problem. Usually, there were just a lot of communication problems generally today. The only bright spot to me was Adrian Peterson.
And not a great day, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great day, but I did think certainly the interior of the offensive line had a pretty good day again in run blocking. Mm-hmm. All things considered, at least they did. Mm-hmm. I think that was really sort of the lone bright spot, and there were holes there, for these guys. And Darius Guice, before he went out, had the one long run
What was it, 25 yards, something like that?
Yards.
Yeah, so he had a good little run there, which, again, they just opened up a giant hole. And I don't want to diminish Guice because he's a good running back when he's healthy. But that hole was the kind of hole that you or I could make it through.
Maybe.
I don't think we could pick up 23 yards, but we could at least get through that hole.
I think the punter could probably catch us, if you and I are on the field. But just to put it in context here, the Redskins had minus 6 yards passing at the end of the first quarter, minus 6, and 46 yards at halftime, 58 yards at the end of the third quarter. Okay, I mean it was.
But we've seen this weeks in a row now. They're terrible in the first quarter.
Look. This is not good quarterbacking, okay? No. I give J.P. Finley the credit for this because J.P., listened to his podcast a couple weeks ago, and he's talking about how the Redskins fans have gotten so used to terrible quarterbacking that when they see something like 26 or 27 for 170 yards and think, wow, he had a decent day, that is by comparison only. Right. I don't think the Redskins – somebody correct me if I'm wrong here – but I don't remember a 200-yard passing day all year. There might have been one early in the year, and I'm just forgetting about it.
I think week one. Yeah. I think versus the Eagles, we had one, but
right. But Haskins hadn't been good.
No.
Is he improving? Yes. I mean, do I want to do what some of you idiots think and draft Tua Tagovailoa, whatever his name is? No, not really. He's a rookie. He needs a chance to get better and play, but he hadn't been good. He's had his moments. But he hadn't had a solid game all year, which isn't surprising given some who's around him and all the circumstances.
I mean, he doesn't have a second option other than Terry McLaurin, and everyone knows it now, which is why teams are just clamping down on McLaurin. And McLaurin's numbers have dropped dramatically the last second half of the season.
Battles, though, okay? Yeah. It's really more that the quarterback can't get him the ball, okay?
Right.
Terry McLaurin was open multiple times. He beat guys multiple times. He got overthrown near the goal line, at least once.
On that throw, I would say that was probably not a great idea to throw into double coverage like that.
No, but a better throw would have been a touchdown.
Sure. Or at least goal line.
Or whatever. Yeah, close. So, I mean, I continue to think McLaurin is legit. His numbers have dropped for sure, but it's really more that they've had terrible quarterbacking more than anything, in my view. I mean, I'm no expert.
No, I think there is something to it. Now, you have to kind of just accept it because you're trying to see this guy improve.
Yeah, exactly.
And he needs to get snaps. I mean, you said 27 drops or dropbacks this week.
Yes.
Most of them in that final drive or two to try and tie up the game.
Well, yeah, absolutely. He was 9 for 17. This is net. 9 for 17 for 58 yards at the end of the third quarter.
Right.
Net. So, meaning you're subtracting out the sacks. So, gross yardage was 87. So, yeah, he had 90 yards in the fourth quarter alone. And it wasn't really garbage time, because the game was close. I don't think you can just chalk that up to garbage time. They did get better. They kind of put it together a little bit in the fourth quarter. So, kudos to that, I guess. But I think nobody thought they were going to win this game ever.
No one thought. I mean, they had an outside chance if they had gotten the onside kick, maybe they get lucky. It was that kind of situation, which for where they've been before this, that's not the worst spot to be.
Hey, at least they were in a position to get to try an onside kick.
Right, exactly.
That's what we fall into.
Usually by the mid-third quarter, we've just given up completely. So, that's improvement. In the end, though, do you think they should have let Haskins keep playing after he sprained his ankle?
It's easy just to say, yeah, you should yank him out. But I hate to punt on this, but I'm going to kind of punt a little bit because we don't know what the doctor said. And I do think that if you pull a guy too early, it sends a bad message to him. Particularly when he hadn't been playing well, the team is down, and then you're going to pull him. And Bill Callahan certainly would have said, oh, it was because of injury and everything. But, that's going to raise questions. And so I can kind of see the logic of it. And so I've gone back and forth because I did tweet sometimes, out there, he needs to be pulled. But after kind of thinking about it for an hour or so, I think it would have depended on what the doctors were saying about his ankle. Because I would have been much more lax to pull him than like Aaron Rodgers say, because you don't want to damage this kid's psyche any more than it's already been damaged. You know,
I don't want to damage his leg anymore.
I agree. I'm totally with you. I agree. But I think
because we were talking before the show, and it's like we don't want another RG3 situation.
And that was what was going through my head. I was thinking, oh my God, RG3 Seattle Seahawks. This kid's gonna tear his knee up, and it's gonna be over. And so, from that respect, yeah, pull him. But I'm just saying, I guess that I would have been a little bit loath to pull him, and so I can't definitively say they should have. Be for that reason. Although, I mean, the whole world could see him limping. So,
yeah. Again, just walking the huddle, he was having to limp and hop on one foot at spots.
Yeah, he looked bad, no doubt.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
And I did see a tweet come across Twitter. It's way down in my feed now, but apparently Callahan wasn't even considering going to a backup quarterback.
So, we haven't got the transcript of the presser yet, but so this is from Finley.
It's too soon.
Yeah. But Finley says, this is the quote. It's Finley quoting Callahan as saying, "There was never an instance where we considered taking him out of the game. It never occurred to us." That is a quote from Bill Callahan via J.P. Finley. So, and then Haskins said, to his credit, again, this is Finley quoting Haskins, saying there was no way he was coming out of the game.
Well, I mean, he kind of reminded me of like when Donovan McNabb was like 38 and still trying to play quarterback for a second.
Kind of reminded me of,
and he could barely walk.
Kind of reminded me of Baghdad Bob in Desert Storm 1. Who was the PR guy for the Iraqis when the world was blowing up around him, and he kept saying nothing to see here, nothing to see here. That was kind of what was going on today, injury wise. But I do get how they were loath to pull him out for that reason, but. At some point, yeah. I mean, I think they kind of have to admit they got a bit lucky that he didn't hurt himself.
Didn't get worse hurt, especially because there was that one sack he took, not like I think it was early in the third quarter where the guy came up the middle and Chris Thompson just missed on the block.
Yeah.
And if anything, pushed him right into Haskins.
Just got annihilated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was worried that he was not getting up after that.
And Green Bay was pulling on his ankle, on some of those, which I thought were
a little bit of dirt.
Yeah, dirty
by Smith, not Preston, the other Smith.
Yeah. So let's talk about the rest of the offense. So that's Dwayne Haskins. I think it was a step back. In my summary, I guess, of Dwayne Haskins, this was a step back for Dwayne Haskins, even taking his health into consideration. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
They all also playing a 9-3 team, which
you're playing a team that's clearly better than you.
Yeah.
But and I guess you give him half credit for grit or whatever you want to call it, playing with the bad ankle.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he's not a weenie. He proved that. If nothing else.
Yeah. And you know what? These days you have to prove that at some point in the NFL.
But my fundamental problem is, okay, he was at 59% completion percentage again. We still haven't seen him put a game together.
No, we haven't.
And it's a little disconcerting. Am I worried? Mm-hmm. Not really, because it's still early, and he probably shouldn't be playing anyway. Based on his collegiate experience and all that. But at some point, you'd like to see him put one game together just to make everybody feel better.
Yeah, and hopefully, versus the Giants or one of these. I guess we only have division games left. Hopefully one of them he can put a game together.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, against the Giants, for God's sakes, they're terrible. Also.
Yeah, they are. All right, let's focus on some of these other guys. We talked a little bit about the running backs. Good day for both of them. Even though Geis got hurt, he had 40-some yards, you said.
42.
So, another solid running game for the offense. That's, all you can really say there. It wasn't great, just solid.
I mean, we did point out that was the Packers' weakness. Their run defense has been bad all year. Not atrociously bad, but they've been bad. They're not...
That's where you can beat them.
Yeah, and so we knew that, and particularly when you have a young quarterback and all that. Here's my question. Is Darius Geis injury prone?
Yes.
Seems like it.
I don't even think it's a question. I think he is. I think now, one, he did just take a shot to the knees, and, it's always been leg issues. So, there's that. If I were him, I would be wearing the biggest friggin' knee pads that you can wear in the NFL. And taping my ankles.
I mean, you need a knee brace. Knee pads won't do anything. The problem with knee braces is they're hard to cut in. Okay, if you've never worn a knee brace, they're hard to cut in, and so I would think that a running back like him probably wouldn't be very excited to wear them. You know?
Yeah, well, but you've broken both your legs multiple times now in this game.
He's having
Or
an
not broken,
MRI
you know what I mean.
Monday, by the way, so we'll get no more tomorrow.
Hopefully it's not too serious. He was walking around on the sidelines a lot, so that's a good sign.
Well, he was walking around after he tore his ACL last year, too.
That's true.
I don't think that is a sign of anything with him.
Yeah. I think he is a bit injury prone. Like I said, I would be doing everything I can to protect my legs if I were him.
Yeah.
But I guess there's not much you can do if you want to be a fast runner.
Or running back, period, in the NFL.
Well, but I think back in the old days, big guys who were just power backs could do a little more. they would have tape and just everything on their ankles and knees, and it didn't matter because they weren't going to outrun anyone. They're just going to beat people up.
See Campbell, Earl.
Yes, there we go. That's what we need is somebody like that to just go and punch people.
So what else? I mean, Chris Thompson had
receivers.
Chris Thompson had no carries, but he had a bunch of Chris Thompson style short passes. Did fairly well. He didn't show any of like the amazing explosiveness and playmaking ability.
He hasn't shown that in 2 years.
No, he hasn't.
But can I make a request? Please. If the Redskins ever listen to this, can we try a screen to Chris Thompson when it's not third down? Just for fun. Just see if maybe on second down it actually works.
Sakes, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe even first down. Just try getting him the ball. Like screens on 3rd and 20 yards. We know it's not going to work, but you're going to do it anyway. Try it on 2nd and 20.
The optimistic part of me would say that Bill Callahan actually knows what he's doing, and he knows he's calling an offense from 1973. But I think he's doing it intentionally because he knows his team is not talented and they're no good on offense. And so I think all he's doing, like I heard Brian Baldinger talking about this, and he made a great point. So credit to Baldinger for what I'm about to say. He said, all Bill Callahan's really doing is trying to get to the fourth quarter with the game still intact. It makes sense. Yes, it's very predictable. He's running almost every first and second down and pass on third down. And, I made fun of that at the beginning of the show. But on the other hand, what else are you going to do? A lot of the stuff is going to fail. The quarterback stinks. Now, he's going to get better. He's a rookie, blah, 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 all of that. But right now he stinks. They have one receiver worth a Tinker's Dam who legitimately can torch everybody. But the quarterback can't get him the ball. You've got a former explosive scat back in Chris Thompson that's no longer an explosive scat back.
Right. He's still functional. He's just not explosive.
And you've got an old Adrian Peterson who's still a stud, but he's not going to carry a game really very often anymore. He can do it every once in a while. So It's like, what else are you going to do? And I kind of get it to a certain extent, and I think Baldinger's probably right. It's like, it's not going to work. Jay Gruden's offense wasn't working either, So I kind of get it.
Yeah. I feel like, the genius of what you're saying there, it's like the less talented you are, the more old school of an offense you tend to start to run.
Because you have no choice.
If we get any less talented, we're running the veer and the wishbone, and that's about it.
Didn't we run an option play last week? Or 2 weeks ago? They ran a legit option. It was like, my God.
Well, but the option's now becoming the modern thing because, that's what the Ravens are doing. They're running options and, trick plays
that's a whole
time.
nother story. So anyway, I think that's a big part of it because we could get Mike Martz to come out here and call the greatest show on turf, play calling.
That ain't going to work when you have one receiver.
It's going to fail spectacularly. And so I think Baldinger's probably right in saying all Bill Callahan's trying to do is get to the fourth quarter and have a shot.
Right.
Because he knows this works. He knows he's got Adrian Peterson, who's the most reliable, consistent weapon. He knows they're probably better in run blocking than pass blocking. He knows the quarterback's young. He knows there's no weapons. Even with Jordan Reed healthy alone, absent everything else, would make a huge difference. All this horrible third down percentage they have, that would change dramatically if Jordan Reed was out there. We're playing without a tight end.
Right.
Right. Like you said, I saw your tweet. They need to start over completely with the tight end group. I think that was you that said that.
No, I didn't say that, but I've said that.
Okay.
I think we all know that. You got to start from scratch. And it's not just the tight ends; it's the whole receiving core. You have one guy who's really shown he's going to be worth keeping. Then you have some guys who are maybes.
No, I think Kelvin Harmon's a keeper.
Well, I don't think – I'm not saying you cut him, but he hasn't proved until he gets to like 500 yards, I'm not saying he's anything yet.
I mean, but we have a quarterback who had 27 dropbacks today, which is a lot for him, and he missed. And a lot of them were, I stopped counting bad balls eventually because there were too many of them. You know,
Right.
I just think you put a guy like Kelvin Harmon with a great quarterback, put him in New England, you know, and you're going to see his numbers go up. I think Kelvin Harmon has a lot of talent. I think they have two guys that has a lot of talent. And I think Steven Sims has talent if they use him right. He's one of these guys that if you use him too much, it's not going to go well. He drops balls. He's dropped a lot of balls this year.
Well, he had that fumble.
Yeah,
I mean,
right. He had the fumble, and he dropped another one on top of that.
Yeah. They went to Sims a lot today, I noticed. And, I mean, I guess he's the underneath guy, so he got open.
He was a starting slot receiver. He started at the slot, and so it's like you have to go to him, you know.
Yeah, and you know what? That's been the one thing this team's kind of been missing other than a tight end is, you know, Quinn has not been a good slot receiver. You need underneath guys for a rookie quarterback to have good targets.
I think Trey Quinn is going to live up to the history of Mr. Irrelevant, and he's going to be gone out of the NFL soon.
And you know, we're running long on time, but I've done a study. He's already actually one of the most productive Mr. Irrelevants in history, which is sad.
That is sad.
Going back in the history of the draft, most of them are gone before the end of their first rookie year.
The fact that he's even made the team twice.
Yes, by virtue of that, and that he's played, he's like in the top 5.
Did you take into consideration that he was hurt all last year?
I don't care. You know,
you were here for 2 years, so you're a successful Mr. Irrelevant.
Right. Most guys are gone after rookie camp.
Yeah. So I don't know what else to say about the offense. I mean, the offense is the worst offense in football. I mean,
yeah, it is.
With all due respect to the Bengals, I haven't studied them this year because we don't play them this year. They're awful too, for sure. But statistically, and it's only going to get worse statistically when we do the next game preview. So,
right,
they're awful.
Although I think our points per game slowly going up because we were down to like 8 at one point.
Well, they're still last.
Yeah. But I mean, we were in like single digits. I thought
they're just a better, higher form of last.
Right. All right, well, let's do some game balls and then finish this thing up.
Oh my God,
so, Steve, who on the other team are you going to give it to? Because we lost, so you're probably going to do that.
You know what? I'm going to pull a Jamal this time.
Abstain?
Well, I'm going to abstain on offense.
Okay.
On offense, nobody deserves a game ball. I mean, yeah, Peterson, if I was going to give it to anybody, it'd probably be Peterson, but he didn't have a great game. You know, nobody had a great game. I don't think anybody deserves a game ball, so I'm going to abstain from an offensive game ball. If you make me give one, if you say I have to give one, I'm going to give it to Scary Terry for that incredible catch in the end zone, which was like the catch of the year. Awesome. Go back and watch that again if you haven't. So I'm going to abstain from a game ball, but if you say I have to, it'd go to McLaurin. And on defense, I mean, part of me wants to give it to Matt Ioannidis.
For the one big sack there?
Yeah, I mean, because nobody really deserves a game ball on defense either, to be honest. Not Landon Collins, not Cole Holcomb, even though he got, you know what? Do I have to give one? I can abstain, right?
I mean, I've stopped counting them because it's just been so bad and pathetic that I'm like, we're not putting this on our website. It's too depressing.
Nobody deserves a game ball this game. I'm not giving a game ball. I'm abstaining for both. I could make something up and give, but I don't frankly think the Packers played a great game either. So it's not like somebody came out that really, deserves to get the Redskins.
Took us to the shed or anything.
No.
Yeah. I would agree with you that if you're going to give one on offense, it's Terry. Just for that catch. That touchdown was a beauty. And that wasn't a good pass by Haskins. McLaurin just made a good play on a bad ball. And then I guess defense, I'm with you. No one really did anything impressive. I mean, you have 4 guys who got sacks. A couple of them weren't even very good sacks. They're the kind where you just kind of stop the quarterback before he escapes, which I guess is something, but it doesn't really net you any yards. So no one on defense.
So you're kind of with me then, because it seems kind of ridiculous at this point to give game balls in games like this.
Yeah, no one made a play that impressed you.
I mean, if this game ball was presented to you, is this one that you would send home to mom? I don't think so.
No,
this is one that you'd throw in your trunk.
Exactly, or just maybe you'd throw it to a little kid in the stands and say, "Here you go, kid.
Exactly right. Yeah,
that's what you do.
Because the kid wouldn't care. The kid would enjoy it, and absolutely. So yeah, we'll
Right.
give a game ball to somebody's cute little son or daughter that was at that game. Whoever
Right.
you are, that's who you get. That's who gets the game ball.
And you know what? I'll give one to those weird old hog farmer guys who were like in the stands with no shirts on.
Yeah, I don't think they're that old, actually.
Well, they're not. But the one guy with the long beard. There's like three of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's the African American guy, the guy with the beard, and then the third guy.
What I do know is they're spending a lot of money on Redskins. Those dudes traveled every game.
Are they like affiliated with the team somehow? It seems like they tweet and
I don't think so.
They're too involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're affiliated with the team, but
No?
they're spending
Okay.
a lot of money going to a lot of Redskins games. That's for sure.
I know I chit chat with one or two of them on Twitter once in a while.
Really?
They seem like good guys, but
Yeah, hey,
a little
I
too
mean,
much.
You know what? They're positive at least.
Yeah.
I give them that much. It's a bit over the top for sure, but I mean they're positive because it's easy to be
sometimes
negative.
too positive. Like I don't want that much sunshine and rainbows when we're 3-10.
And you guys have to understand, we do this kind of for a living here, or for a fake living, and it's hard to constantly be positive every day. And we're trying to give you the God's honest, unvarnished truth.
That's why I've just given up on it.
Yeah, and sometimes the truth is ugly, so you got to call a spade, and sometimes it's so ugly that we just get very, very sarcastic because there's nowhere else to go with it. So me making fun of Ryan Kerrigan's sack dance is just kind of a magnification of just the awful that we all knew was coming. A
little bit of macabre.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note. Why don't we just end the show? Because we're going to go down a dark path if we don't.
Probably so.
So, thank you all for listening this week. I know we don't want to say it, but, playoff hopes are over now. So, 3 more games to go, and then a new coach, maybe a new GM,
No.
I'm hoping.
I'm guessing not. We don't have a GM, so it could be just GM period, I guess.
Sure. Okay, well... Thanks, everybody, for listening, and have a happy holiday week and season that's coming up, whatever it's... I don't know what week it is.
Hanukkah coming up? When's Hanukkah, Alex?
Actually, I think Hanukkah's late this year.
You don't even know? Aren't you Jewish?
It's not a high holiday.
Oh.
No.
Happy
Later.
Whatever. Happy soon
Happy
Christmas.
Kwanzaa, Rama, Shana.
Praise me for putting on my Christmas lights.
Yes. Later.
Hello there, guys, and welcome to the Attacking Blues podcast with your hosts, myself, Lawrence, and of course my fellow co-host, Mr. Jimmy Funnell.
Tune in to hear us talk about all things Chelsea FC and listen to our to-the-point analysis and lively discussions on a weekly basis for the Big Heads Media Network.